The storm inside the mind. Armin was an ordinary young man with an extraordinary problem. His thoughts never stopped. From the moment he woke up, his mind was like a crowded marketplace. One moment he imagined success. The next, he drowned in self-doubt. What if I fail? What will people say? I'm not good enough. These thoughts chained him like invisible ropes. At work, his boss only had to frown, and Armin would spend the whole day replaying that moment, assuming he'd done something wrong. At home, he wanted peace, but his mind became his own worst enemy. He'd overthink everything, from simple conversations to small mistakes. One night, unable to sleep, Armin sat by the window watching the rain. He whispered, "Why can't I control my own thoughts? They control me." And that's when he remembered something his grandfather once told him. Your mind is like a wild horse. If you don't learn to ride it, it will throw you down every time. Those words hit deep. Armin realized he had spent his whole life reacting, not responding. He wasn't living. He was surviving inside his own head. That night he decided enough was enough. He would learn to control his thoughts before they controlled him. The battle of self-control. The next morning, Armin began his journey towards self-mastery. He didn't have money for fancy retreats or life coaches, so he started small, with awareness. Every time a negative thought appeared, he would pause and ask himself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? At first, it felt impossible. His mind fought back fiercely. Doubt whispered louder than ever. You'll never change. But Armin refused to listen. He began practicing deep breathing whenever anxiety hit. He started journaling, writing every fearful thought and then crossing it out, reminding himself, this is not reality, just imagination. Days turned into weeks, and slowly something changed. Armin noticed moments of silence between his thoughts, brief but powerful. In those moments he felt peace, strength, and control. He realized that he was not his thoughts. He was the observer behind them. One morning, his boss criticized his work again, but instead of overthinking, Armin smiled, took a deep breath, and said calmly, "Thank you. I'll fix it." That night, instead of replaying the event 1,000 times, he read a book, laughed with his sister, and slept peacefully. For the first time in years, his mind obeyed him. He was no longer the servant of his thoughts. He was the master. The power within you. Months passed, and Armin's life transformed in ways he never imagined. People noticed his calm energy. Friends came to him for advice. Even his boss began trusting him more. But the real change wasn't in the world. It was inside him. He understood now that control doesn't mean silence. You can't stop thoughts from coming, but you can choose which ones to believe. A thought is just a visitor. It only stays if you invite it in. Armin started teaching this truth to others. The strongest person is not the one who lifts heavy weights, but the one who lifts heavy thoughts and lets them go. He learned that life is like a mirror. It reflects what your mind focuses on. When you think fear, you see problems. When you think peace, you see solutions. When you think gratitude, you see miracles. And one evening, as he watched another sunset, he smiled and said softly, I can't control the world outside me, but I can always control the world within me. That was the moment Armin truly became free, not because his thoughts disappeared, but because he learned to guide them. Moral of the story. You are not your thoughts, you are the thinker. Master your mind and your life will follow. Control begins not with silence, but with awareness.